When sense no more a silken thread doth bind, nor deeds entangle in their mystic maze. When sense no more a silken thread doth bind, nor deeds entangle in their mystic maze. And selfish longings vanish, leaving mind, as starlit heaven on quiet summer days. He who unscathed by craving's fevered breath, doth duty's flower with patient hand unfold, nor clings to fruit that whispers tempting death. A yogi true, a sannyasi bold. Written in a style that might remind some people of Keats, Yoga Self-Mastery. Ode to the Yogi's Still Heart.
And some listeners might be thinking, okay, what exactly is an ode?
What is an ode?
There's a sense of formality, I suppose, a certain weight to it. And maybe the most crucial thing, an ode is about praise. It's written to, well, celebrate or glorify something specific.
Makes sense.
And this ode is fascinating, actually, because it's inspired directly by a really significant chapter in ancient wisdom literature, Chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita, Yoga of Self-Control.
And while the original Sanskrit verses from the Gita are there, like the foundation, the ode, gives us this distinct, almost artistic interpretation. Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm Satosha.
And I'm Satoshi. So as we dive into the key teachings in Chapter 6 now, let's maybe keep this idea of the ode sort of floating in the background. We can almost picture each section of the Gita as like a stanza in a bigger poem about self-mastery.
All right, let's begin. Verse 1.
It gives us a definition, really, of who truly embodies the spirit of a yogi and a sannyasi.
And what's really significant right away is the emphasis that a true sannyasi, a true yogi, isn't defined just by, outward stuff or just by not doing certain activity.
Right. It's not about appearances.
No, it's not about externally giving up duties or performing specific rituals only. The focus is immediately placed squarely on the inner state, the idea of acting without being attached to the results of your actions.
He who, unscathed by craving's fevered breath, doth duty's flower with patient hand unfold, nor clings to fruit that whispers tempting death, a yogi true, a sannyasi bold.
No hearth's warm glow, no outward deed alone, but inward fire, a spirit keenly sown.
The true yogi unfolds their duty's flower with patience, focusing on the action itself. And that phrase, nor clings to fruit that whispers tempting death, that's particularly potent, I think.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About those times when we're so fixated on what we'll get out of something that we lose sight of the present moment or maybe even compromise our values.
Yeah.
It's like the allure of immediate success can sometimes lead to a kind of spiritual dead end. So verse 2 continues this thread. It says that true yoga is essentially sannyasa.
Sannyasa, which we often understand as renunciation, it isn't just about giving up external things like possessions.
Yeah.
It's more about letting go of the internal illusions, those fancies webs that our minds create. True awakening, the ode suggests, happens when we recognize and, crucially, begin to detach from these fleeting wants.
Okay. For sannyasa, a name of solemn sound is yoga's self, where fancy's webs are torn. For sannyasa, a name of solemn sound is yoga's self, where fancy's webs are torn. No dreamer he, on shifting wishes bound. A yogi wakes when such desires are mourn. To quell the heart's unceasing wild unrest, this is the mark, the deeply cherished test. So it's less about becoming a literal hermit in a forest, maybe, and more about renouncing the grip of these mental fabrications, these thoughts.
Exactly. The yogi isn't lost in fantasies or driven by constantly changing desires, those shifting wishes.
For sannyasa, a name of solemn sound is yoga's self, where fancy's webs are torn. No dreamer he, on shifting wishes bound. A yogi wakes when such desires are mourn.
And that unending, wild unrest of the heart, that internal chatter and unease we all feel sometimes, that's presented as the central challenge, the deeply cherished test of this path.
Makes sense. Let's look at verse 3.
The Gita seems to present almost two stages. or maybe two approaches. There's a way for beginners, and then a way for those who are more advanced.
Yes. It distinguishes between the seeker who's, let's say, just starting to climb the path of yoga and the one who's already reached a certain level of inner stability.
Right.
For the beginner, the text says engaging in action, doing your duties, but without attachment to the results. But then the one who's become really firmly established in yoga serenity becomes the means. So you see a deepening of the practice over time.
A progression.
And the ode reflects this too. Listen to these lines. Who seeks yoga's height, where rapturous peace doth gleam, by action's wing must first his soul be born. But when that airy summit like a dream is reached at last, and worldly storms are sworn to silence, then serenity divine shall on his spirit ceaselessly recline. This really feels like it's describing a journey.
It does, yeah. It suggests that initially effort and engagement, action's wing, are necessary to lift us towards the goal of yoga, that rapturous peace. It's sort of like you need momentum to get off the ground.
But then there's a shift, isn't there? Once that airy summit is reached, when the turmoil of the worldly storms subsides, the effort seems to give way to an effortless state. Serenity divine.
Exactly, like the plane reaching cruising altitude, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Verse 4 continues with this idea of inner liberation.
What are the sort of defining signs of someone who's reached that level?
Their mind has found this state of calm balance. It's not easily swayed by things happening outside or by internal urges. The Gita says, when he is not attached to sense objects or to actions.
And in this state, the yogi attains yoga-rudha.
This deep inner balance where life's ups and downs, which are inevitable, right? That just don't trigger those big emotional swings anymore. It's not about suppressing emotion, mind you, but about being anchored deeper. When sense no more a silken thread doth bind, nor deeds entangle in their mystic maze. When sense no more a silken thread doth bind, nor deeds entangle in their mystic maze. And selfish longings vanish, leaving mind, as starlit heaven on quiet summer days, then Yogarudha, bathed in purest light, stands firm and free from passion's fading blight.
The silken thread implies something delicate, yes, but still restrictive.
Yeah.
And the idea of deeds no longer entangling us in a mystic maze that points to freedom from the karmic consequences, the results of actions driven by ego and attachment.
And the result of this detachment and the vanishing of selfish longings is this beautiful image of the mind as a starlit heaven on quiet summer days.
Yeah.
So clear, so vast, peaceful.
Exactly. And in this state, the yogi attains yogarudha. Then the chapter shifts. It talks about the vital importance of self-effort 6-5. It seems to put the responsibility squarely on the individual.
And it's such an empowering message, I think. The Gita states it so clearly. Let a man lift himself by his own self. Let him not lower himself, for he alone is his friend, and he alone is his enemy. The ode captures that personal responsibility. By thine own soul lift up thy languid gaze, lest in the mire thy spirit lose its worth. For self can prove a sun in life's dark haze, or serpent coiling in thy bosom's girth.
Urging us to take charge of our inner state, right? To not let our spirit get bogged down, get stuck in the mire of negativity. It presents a really powerful duality. Our own self has the potential to be a source of light and guidance, a sun in life's dark haze, or a source of inner conflict and suffering, a serpent coiling in thy bosom's girth.
By thine own soul lift up thy languid gaze, lest in the mire thy spirit lose its worth. For self can prove a sun in life's dark haze, or serpent coiling in thy bosom's girth. It's a stark reminder, isn't it, that our greatest ally and our greatest adversary are both right here inside us. So what determines which one we experience?
Which leads right into the next verse 6:6, explaining how the self can be both friend and foe. It depends on our level of self-mastery.
Precisely. When those, let's say, undisciplined parts of ourselves are brought under the control of the higher self, the discerning self, then that very self becomes our best guide, our friend, leading us towards freedom.
But the flip side?
The flip side is, if we let the impulsive, unbridled self run the show, it acts like our worst enemy, leading us off track. The ode puts it very succinctly. The self is friend, a balm for every smart, when by the self the wayward self is tamed. But to him who fails this crucial art, the very self, a foe with fury flamed.
A foe with fury flamed. Strong words. The self is friend, a balm for every smart, when by the self the wayward self is tamed. To him who fails this crucial art, the very self, a foe with fury flamed. If we let the wayward self run rampant, then that same self becomes a destructive force, a foe with fury flamed. It It really highlights the critical importance of self-awareness and, conscious effort in guiding our inner lives.
Right.
The Gita then describes the qualities of a soul that has achieved this self-conquest 6-7. What does that look like?
Well, the conquered soul, the one with inner peace and self-control, sees the highest self as equally present everywhere, in all conditions. Whether it's hot or cold, pleasure or pain, getting praise or blame.
Doesn't matter.
The inner state remains steady. It points to this profound level of inner equilibrium. The ode reflects it. The conquered soul, where gentle quiet dwells, in highest self a kindred essence spies. Through summer's blaze and winter's icy spells, through praise that lifts and scorn that darkly lies. What's significant about the conquered soul, recognizing a kindred essence in the highest self?
The conquered soul, that signifies someone who has gained mastery over their internal ups and downs, right?
The conquered soul, where gentle quiet dwells, in highest self a kindred essence spies.
Mm-hmm.
Through summer's blaze and winter's icy spells, through praise that lifts and scorn that darkly lies.
In the state of inner quiet, they begin to perceive a fundamental unity between their own being and a higher reality, the highest self.
Like seeing the connection. And the ability to remain undisturbed through summer's blaze and winter's icy spells, through praise and scorn. That speaks to an incredible inner stability, doesn't it?
Exactly. External circumstances, the opinions of others, they just don't have the power anymore to disrupt that deep inner peace. It's a hallmark of true self-mastery.
Verse 8 continues to build on this state.
The yogi who has refined their spirit through wisdom and gained control over their senses sees all things as part of the same fundamental reality.
Regardless of how we usually value them.
Exactly, regardless of their perceived worth or attractiveness.
With wisdom's draft his spirit doth refine, unwavering, senses held in soft control.
Right.
To him are kin the shard, the golden shine, a harmonized and consecrated soul. What does it mean to see a shard, like a piece of broken pottery and golden shine, as equally kin?
It signifies a transcendence of our usual value judgments. A broken piece of pottery and a piece of gold are, in essence, both manifestations of the same underlying reality.
That's a radical shift in perspective. Moving beyond just the superficial appearances to see the unity underneath.
Precisely. It's a sign of a truly harmonized and consecrated soul, one that has integrated this deeper understanding into their very being.
This applies to people too. They maintain an impartial attitude towards everyone. Friends, enemies, neutral people, mediators, people they might dislike, relatives, the virtuous, even the unrighteous.
That's incredibly expansive. True equanimity.
It's a vision of profound unity. The ode tries to capture this. To friend, to foe, a heart that knows no gall. To neutral gaze, to hatred's bitter sting. To kindly kin, where gentle graces fall, or wrongful hand, no varying thoughts take wing. The equipoised in heart, a vision pure. The idea of no varying thoughts take wing. That's striking.
It describes a state of deep emotional stability, doesn't it? Where the yogi doesn't react with different thoughts or feelings based purely on how they are treated, whether it's a friend, an enemy, someone neutral, someone kind, someone hostile. The inner state remains balanced.
It's about breaking free from that cycle of reactive emotions and judgments that, let's face it, often consume us.
Exactly. This equipoised heart allows for a vision pure, a perception free from the distortions of emotional bias. Beautiful. Okay, so after describing this state of inner and outer balance, the Gita starts getting practical, outlining steps for the aspiring yogi. It talks about solitude and focus 6:10.
Yes, it shifts to the how-to, in a way. The advice is to seek seclusion, dwell alone, and consistently engage mind and body in the practice. Free from desires, free from possessions, focusing the whole being inward, on the self. The ode echoes that call. The yogi seeks the woods embracing shade, alone he sits, his thoughts his only care. From longings goes, from worldly wealth unweighed, on self he muses, banishing despair. The yogi seeks the woods embracing shade, alone he sits, his thoughts his only care.
Right, the solitude.
From longing's ghost, from worldly wealth unweighed, on self he muses, banishing despair. Why is solitude emphasized here for this practice?
Well, solitude provides a space free from the constant stimulation and distractions of the external world, doesn't it? It allows the yogi to turn inward, to confront their own thoughts and feelings directly. That's what his thoughts, his only care, really suggests.
And the aim of this solitary contemplation is what? To move beyond the illusions of desire, the longing's ghost.
Yes, and the perceived importance of material possessions, worldly wealth unweighed. To focus instead on the self, which ultimately leads to the banishing of despair.
Okay.
It's through this deep introspection that the yogi can understand the impermanent nature of external things and find a lasting peace within.
banishing despair.
And it gets quite specific, even giving instructions about preparing for meditation, the seat, the posture.
It does, remarkably specific. It describes setting up a stable, sacred seat, not too high, not too low, covered in a particular way with cloth, maybe deer skin, and kusha grass.
Kusha grass, right.
And on this seat, the yogi sits with a completely focused mind, controlling thoughts, controlling senses, keeping the body, head, and neck straight and still. And the gaze, softly fixed to the tip of the nose, not looking around. The ode tries to render this careful preparation too, where solitude her quiet banner waves, a seat prepare with reverent hushed design, nor raised too high where reckless spirit raves, or sunk too low where earthly shadows twine. Of cloth, deer's hide, and kusha's verdant grace, a tranquil haven in that lonely space. There, one pointed mind, a steadfast flame, the senses hushed, their restless yearnings cease. From fleeting joys, from worldly lure and blame, he turns within for self-purification's peace. Body, head, and neck, in perfect stillness bound. At nose's tip his gaze doth gently rest. No wandering glance on outward scenes is found, within his soul by higher thoughts possessed.
One-pointed mind. That focus seems essential. The chapter then talks about cultivating certain inner qualities alongside the physical practice 614.
Yes, these are foundational. It stresses having a tranquil soul, being free from fear, observing celibacy, brahmacharya, and keeping the mind completely absorbed in contemplating the divine, all with the goal of realizing the supreme truth.
So inner discipline is just as important as the outer posture.
Absolutely. The ode sums up these virtues. Tranquil of soul, where fear's cold touch is lost. In celibacy's bond his strength is kept. Mind's wild bird tamed. On me his thoughts are crossed. United heart, where sacred vows are swept. Where solitude her quiet banner waves. Tranquil of soul, where fear's cold touch is lost. In celibacy's bond his strength is kept. Mind's wild bird tamed. On me his thoughts are crossed. United heart, where sacred vows are swept. What's the significance of celibacy's bond here? Is it literal?
Traditionally, brahmacharya, often translated as celibacy, is understood more broadly as the conservation of vital energy, directing it towards spiritual pursuits rather than dissipation.
So, self-restraint.
Yes, it's about self-restraint in various forms, aimed at focusing one's energy, not necessarily just physical abstinence, though. That's part of the traditional view.
Okay. And the image of mind's wild bird tamed. That really captures the challenge of controlling our thoughts, doesn't it?
It does.
And the phrase, on me his thoughts are crossed, suggests a deep connection to the divine, to Krishna, in the Gita's context.
Yes, it indicates a mind that is constantly remembering and connected to that higher power, leading to a united heart filled with sacred intention, with devotion. And the result, the culmination of all this dedicated, consistent practice, what does the Gita say awaits 615?
Supreme peace. The text calls it the peace of nirvana, which is found by abiding within the divine reality. Through this continuous yogic discipline, the yogi whose mind is truly controlled attains this lasting peace. It's the ultimate fruit of the effort.
Nirvana, that ultimate peace.
The ode sings of it. Thus, evermore the self he doth engage, the yogi's mind by noble purpose led, he finds the peace of a celestial age. In nirvana's climb, where earthly woes are dead, where in my being his true haven lies. The mention of nirvana here is obviously significant.
Very significant. Nirvana signifies a state of liberation, right? A transcendence of suffering and the cycle of rebirth. It's described as a state of profound peace and ultimate freedom.
Like a realm where earthly woes are dead.
Exactly, and a true haven found in the divine being.
Thus evermore the self he doth engage, the yogi's mind, by noble purpose led, he finds the peace of a celestial age. In nirvana's climb, where earthly woes are dead, where in my being his true haven lies.
In my being.
So it's not just a temporary feeling of peace, but a fundamental shift in existence.
Exactly. It's presented here as the ultimate goal of the yogic path. Wow. But the chapter also brings it back to earth, doesn't it? With very practical advice about moderation in daily life, 616, 617.
Yes, and this is so crucial and sometimes gets missed. Yoga here isn't presented as, extreme self-denial or harsh practices.
Not about punishing the body.
Not at all. The Gita wisely advises moderation. It's through this kind of balanced, mindful approach that yoga actually helps alleviate sorrow. It's incredibly practical advice for just living.
Balance in everything.
The ode echoes it. Too much of feasting dulls the spirit's eye and starves the soul of yoga's mystic bread. Nor rigid fast beneath a cheerless sky, sleep's leaden grasp or waking's endless strain, alike shall thwart the yogin's holy game. But moderation, like a golden mean, in food, in sport, in action's measured pace, in slumber soft and waking's gentle mean, this yoga brings a balm for every smart and melts the sorrows of the yearning heart.
Melts the sorrows, that's a beautiful promise.
Too much of feasting dulls the spirit's eye and starves the soul of yoga's mystic bread.
Right, the middle way.
Nor rigid fast beneath a cheerless sky, where vital airs and strength of will are fled. Sleep's leaden grasp, or waking's endless strain, alike shall thwart the yogin's holy gain. This really highlights the dangers of going to extremes.
Overindulgence in food can cloud the mind, make you sluggish,
Sure.
while excessive fasting can deplete your energy and willpower, making practice impossible. And similarly, both too much sleep and too little sleep can hinder spiritual progress. Balance is presented as essential for any sustained spiritual practice.
But moderation, like a golden mean, in food, in sport, in action's measured pace, in slumber soft and waking's gentle mean, where balanced rhythms find their rightful place, this yoga brings a balm for every smart and melts the sorrows of the yearning heart.
Food, activity, the pace of our actions, sleep, wakefulness.
Yeah.
When these rhythms are in harmony, yoga itself becomes a source of healing. It can alleviate deep-seated suffering, melt those sorrows.
So yoga isn't just about, say, sitting on a mat or specific meditation techniques, but also about cultivating a balanced way of living.
Exactly. It's presented as a holistic approach to well-being.
Verse 8 here describes the state resulting from this balance in practice. When mind subdued in self finds sweet repose from every wish that earthly bosoms know.
Repose in the self.
Of worldly want, where discontentment grows, the yogi stands where purest currents flow, harmonized and free, a spirit bright.
Free from worldly want and the discontent it inevitably breeds.
Right.
The yogi experiences a state of harmony and spiritual radiance, connected to, as it says, purest currents, a higher source of energy.
It's a picture of inner fulfillment and liberation.
Precisely. A bright spirit. The Gita then uses a really lovely image, a simile, to describe the yogi's mind, 6:19.
It compares the yogi's mind, disciplined, controlled through practice, to the steady, unwavering flame of a lamp that's placed in a spot where there's no wind.
Completely still and focused.
The ode captures that calm image. As lamp that burns where no wild breezes stray, a simile for yogi's tranquil might, whose mind controlled doth cast a steady ray. As lamp that burns where no wild breezes stray, a simile for yogi's tranquil might. To yoga of the self, a guiding light.
Just as a flickering flame provides very little, very unreliable illumination, a scattered mind offers little clarity. The yogi's controlled mind, however, emits a steady ray, acting as a guiding light on the path to self-realization. Then the chapter describes the actual experience of bliss that the yogi reaches, 6:20, 6:21. What is that like?
It's described as a state of profound inner stillness. The mind, restrained through practice, becomes quiet. And in that quiet, the self is realized through a purified intellect. This leads to experiencing a supreme bliss, a joy that goes beyond what the senses can grasp. And once someone is firmly established in that inner knowing, they don't waver from the truth anymore. The ode speaks of it, where mind restrained by yoga's potent art finds stillness deep within its secret keep, where self by self is known, a world apart, and in the self content doth sweetly sleep. That bliss supreme by intellect embraced, beyond the senses' fleeting, fevered fire, where firmly fixed no earthly storm can waste the soul's clear vision or its high desire. Where mind restrained by yoga's potent art finds stillness deep within its secret keep.
Secret keep. Interesting phrasing.
Where self by self is known, a world apart, and in the self content doth sweetly sleep. The concept of the self being known by self, that's intriguing. What does that mean?
It suggests a direct, intuitive understanding of one's true nature that goes beyond just intellectual knowledge or book learning.
Like an inner knowing.
Exactly. An inner knowing that arises when the mind is stilled and the veils of illusion, the distractions are removed. In this realization, a deep and lasting contentment is found within the self. It sweetly sleeps there.
A state of profound inner knowing and peace.
Yes.
That bliss supreme, by intellect embraced, beyond the senses' fleeting, fevered fire, where firmly fixed no earthly storm can waste the soul's clear vision or its high desire. This bliss supreme seems very different from ordinary happiness.
Oh, absolutely. It's presented as a transcendent bliss, something grasped by the higher intellect, the buddhi or faculty of wisdom, rather than being just a fleeting sensation derived from the senses. It's a state of unwavering clarity and purpose that remains untouched by the turmoil of the external world, the earthly storm.
Or its high desire.
And this bliss is so profound, apparently, that nothing else compares, 622.
Which having found, no richer boon is craved than this dear treasure, won with earnest pain. Here anchored fast, no grief can be engraved upon the heart, though sorrows rise like rain.
Wow.
Once this is achieved, nothing else compares, nothing else is needed.
Precisely. The realization of this dear treasure is considered the ultimate attainment, beyond which no other desire remains. It provides an unshakable inner anchor.
Anchored fast.
Yes, so that even when difficulties arise, when sorrows rise like rain, they cannot deeply wound the heart. They can't engrave themselves there. Yoga itself is then defined as breaking ties with sorrow, 623.
Know this is yoga, severing all ties to sorrow's gloom where heavy fetters cling.
A powerful definition.
With steadfast will, where true endeavor lies, with undaunted soul, let hope forever spring. This definition really emphasizes liberation from suffering, doesn't it?
Yes, yoga is presented here fundamentally as the means to break free from the bonds of sorrow and suffering, those heavy fetters. And this requires determined effort, steadfast will, true endeavor, and an unwavering spirit of hope and undaunted soul.
So it's an active process of freeing ourselves from what holds us back, what causes pain.
Exactly, it's not passive.
All cravings born of phantom, fleeting grace, discard them now, as dreams of night are flown. The senses lure, with mind's commanding space, restrain them all and claim them for thine own. The analogy of cravings is dreams of night. That's powerful.
It really is. It highlights the insubstantial and temporary nature of our desires. We are urged to consciously let go of these fleeting attractions and to take control, claim them for thine own, of our senses and mind.
So directing them intentionally rather than just being led around by them.
Exactly. It's about waking up from the dream of our desires, seeing them for what they are.
Slowly ascend where gentle currents glide. By intellect, thy truest guide and friend, the mind on self shall peacefully abide. No vagrant thought its sacred calm shall rend.
Our faculty of wisdom and discernment is presented as the key to navigating the spiritual path. And notice the emphasis on gradual progress, slowly ascend, gentle currents. It's often not a sudden leap.
Right.
The goal is for the mind to rest peacefully in the self, undisturbed by those vagrant thoughts that would tear apart the calm.
Verse 26 directly addresses the perennial challenge, the restless mind. From whence the restless mind doth wildly veer, unstable as a leaf upon the breeze.
A perfect description.
Isn't it? From thence recall its wandering wayward fear, and to the self restore its wonted ease. The mind compared to a leaf in the wind.
It beautifully captures the mind's inherent tendency to wander, to be easily influenced by every little thing. The verse offers a practical instruction whenever the mind strays.
Which it will.
Which it absolutely will. Gently, persistently bring it back. Bring it back to the self, restoring its natural state of peace, its wanted ease.
So it's a continuous practice of recentering, not a one-time fix.
Yes, absolutely. Discipline and gentleness combined.
Verse 27 describes the yogi's ultimate state, using profound terms. For yogi's heart, where tranquil waters gleam, whose passions sleep, no earthly stain to find. Brahma become, a pure and holy dream, attains to bliss, for spirit refined. Brahma become, that suggests a profound transformation emerging.
It signifies a state of unity with the ultimate reality, with Brahman. The yogi's heart is purified. It's like tranquil waters, free from the disturbances of passion, the earthly stain. And in this refined state, they attain transcendent bliss.
It really feels like the culmination of the entire yogic journey described so far.
Yes, it's reaching that highest state.
Thus evermore the self he doth engage, the yogi, freed from sin's oppressive weight. With gentle ease, the bliss of Brahman's age, he tastes, a joy no words can articulate. The bliss of Brahman is described as ineffable, beyond words.
Yes, it's a profound joy, a state of being that goes beyond the capacity of language to describe. It's experienced directly by the yogi, who consistently engages with the self and is freed from that oppressive weight of negativity or sin.
A joy beyond words, that's a powerful, maybe frustrating, but also inviting idea.
It is. It points to something experiential, not just conceptual. A truly transformative step for the yogi seems to be seeing the self in all beings, and all beings in the self, 629.
Yes, this is a profound shift in perception, a state of deep interconnectedness, of unity, and at the same time sees all beings existing within the vastness of the self. It's a vision of complete harmony. The Ode captures this universal view. He sees the self in every fragile form, in every creature in self's boundless sea, equally seeing, through life's sun and storm, the yogi's soul in sweet serenity. He sees the self in every fragile form, and every creature in self's boundless sea.
Beautiful.
Equally seeing, through life's sun and storm, the yogi's soul in sweet serenity.
Yes, it describes a state of unity consciousness. The yogi perceives the self, that same ultimate reality, as the underlying essence in all beings, in every fragile form, and sees all beings as existing within that boundless self.
And this leads to equally seeing.
Exactly. An equal perception of all experiences, maintaining inner peace, sweet serenity, through all of life's ups and downs, the sun and storm.
Seeing the self in everything really changes everything, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It's a fundamental shift in perception. And this interconnectedness leads to a kind of unbreakable bond between the yogi and the divine, right? 630.
Absolutely. The Gita gives this beautiful assurance. The one who sees the divine everywhere and sees everything in the divine is never separated from the divine. And just as importantly, the divine is never separated from them. It speaks to this intimate, constant presence.
Never lost to each other.
Never. The Ode expresses it. Who sees me ever with a loving eye, and all in me, through darkness and through day. He ne'er shall fade where shadows softly lie, nor shall I vanish from his spirit's way.
The devotional aspect.
This sounds like a promise of an enduring connection.
Yes, it speaks directly to the bond between the devotee and the divine, represented here as me.
Who sees me ever with a loving eye, and all in me, through darkness and through day. He ne'er shall fade where shadows softly lie, nor shall I vanish from his spirit's way.
Seeing the divine with love in all things and seeing all things resting within the divine, that creates an unbreakable connection.
A connection that endures.
Yes, one that endures through all circumstances, darkness and through day, a constant presence and unwavering support.
Who, fixed in oneness, worships me alone, in every being that doth draw its breath.
Right, worship in every being.
In whatsoever course his life is thrown, that yogi dwells with me, untouched by death. Worshipping the divine in all beings. That's a powerful concept.
It emphasizes the pervasiveness of the divine, doesn't it? And that true devotion isn't just directed upwards, but involves recognizing and honoring this presence in every living creature.
And maintaining this awareness.
Allows the yogi to remain connected to dwell with the divine, regardless of external circumstances, whatsoever course his life is thrown. And this connection transcends the limitations of physical existence, is untouched by death.
Who views with equal gaze, O friend most dear, all beings' joy, all beings' silent tear. As in his own deep heart made crystal clear, the yogi holds the highest station here. Equanimity towards both the joy and the sorrow of others, seeing it as one's own, is the mark of the highest yogi.
Yes, that's how it's presented. The ability to perceive and empathize with the emotions, the joys, and the tears of all beings as if they were one's own.
From a crystal clear heart.
Arising from a pure and clear heart, free from ego distortion. This profound empathy is presented as the pinnacle of yogic attainment, the highest station. Now, amidst all this profound teaching on self-mastery, there's that very human moment where Arjuna speaks up. He expresses doubt about controlling the mind, 633, 634. That feels so real, doesn't it? So relatable to our own struggle.
Oh, completely. Arjuna basically voices what we all feel sometimes. He talks about the mind being restless, turbulent, powerful, stubborn, and the Ode captures his feeling. Arjuna spake, O Madhusudana bright, this yoga of mind steady, constant stay, its firmest hold I cannot bring to sight, so prone to restlessness is mortal clay, for mind's a thing of fickle, fluttering flight. To curb its course seems task beyond all might, as bridling winds that through the heavens play.
He acknowledges the ideal, the steady, constant stay of the mind, but confesses his inability to achieve it because the mind is just so naturally restless. Mortal clay is so prone to it.
Arjuna spake, O Madhusudana bright, this yoga of mind steady, constant stay. Its firmest hold I cannot bring to sight, so prone to restlessness is mortal clay. It's incredibly relatable. And he continues, for mind's a thing of fickle, fluttering flight, tumultuous, strong, defying, gentle sway. To curb its course seems task beyond all might, as bridling winds that through the heavens play. He really emphasizes the mind's uncontrollable nature here, comparing it to the wind.
Trying to curb it feels impossible, like trying to put a bridle on the wind itself. It captures that feeling of helplessness we sometimes have with our own thoughts. But then Krishna's response, 635 is so compassionate, isn't it? And practical. It offers hope.
It really does. The Blessed Lord acknowledges, yes, it is difficult to control the wandering mind, no doubt about it. But he reassures Arjuna and all of us that through consistent, persistent practice, amhyasa, and through cultivating detachment, vairagya, from worldly desires, the mind can be brought under control.
Practice and detachment, the two keys.
Those are the tools. The ode reflects this reassurance. The Blessed Lord replied, "'Tis truth thou sayest, O mighty armed, the mind doth wander free, yet practice firm, and disenchantment's soothing remedy shall bind its flights and bring its wildness tame."
Bring its wildness tame. I like that.
The Blessed Lord replied, "'Tis truth thou sayest, O mighty armed, the mind doth wander free."
He acknowledges it first.
Right, he doesn't dismiss the difficulty, yet practice firm, where steadfast will is placed, and disenchantment's soothing remedy shall bind its flights and bring its wildness tame.
So there's the solution, or rather the path. He confirms, yes, the mind is difficult to control, it wanders, but it can be tamed. Through two key things.
Yeah.
Consistent, dedicated practice, abhyasa, and disenchantment or detachment, vairagya. Firm willpower and letting go of attachments that fuel the mind's restlessness. These two together can tame the mind's wildness.
It's a hopeful message then. Even the wildest mind can be tamed, but it takes consistent effort and letting go.
Exactly. It's not easy, but it's possible.
For uncontrolled, yoga's ascent is steep. My wisdom this doth evermore declare. But self-control, whose watch doth never sleep, by patient means shall reach the realms so fair. So, without self-control, the path is incredibly difficult, maybe impossible.
Yes, that's the clear statement. Attaining yoga without self-control is extremely hard. But for the one who is self-controlled, who is vigilant, whose watch doth never sleep,
through patient means,
they will reach those higher spiritual states, the realms so fair. It's a reassurance that consistent effort and self-control does yield significant spiritual progress.
Okay, but Arjuna has another concern.
What happens if you try sincerely, but maybe you don't reach full realization in this life? What's the fate of someone who strays or falls short?
Yes, it's a very natural concern. Who lacks the faith to soar, though noble spirit feels no final blight?
What happens if you try but fail?
Right. Yet mind astray, from yoga's longed-for shore, doth sadly drift into the shadowed night. What fate befalls, O Krishna, gently tell. If perfection's frown, he cannot win so well. He's asking about the person who starts the path with good intentions, with faith, but whose mind wanders off and they don't reach the final goal in this life. What happens to them?
The image of drifting away from the longed-for shore into the shadowed night is quite poignant. What becomes of that sincere effort? Is it all wasted?
He elaborates on this fear like scattered cloud. Across the void he swept. From both realms lost, no anchor can he find.
Lost between worlds.
Unrooted soul, where troubled thoughts are kept. From Brahman's path, a spirit left behind. He fears this person might be lost completely, belonging neither to the worldly life nor the spiritual goal. Feeling unstable like a scattered cloud.
It's the fear of falling between two stools, isn't it? Not succeeding in the spiritual path, but also perhaps having detached somewhat from ordinary goals, a feeling of being unrooted, left behind.
He pleads for clarity. This doubt of mine, O Krishna, grant release. Let understanding shine with radiant art.
A heartfelt plea.
For none but you can bring my spirit peace and clarity bestow upon my heart. He places complete trust in Krishna to resolve this crucial spiritual dilemma.
It shows his deep faith and reliance on the divine guidance. He needs this fundamental doubt addressed.
And Krishna offers great comfort here. He tells Arjuna there's no real loss for such a person. Not here, not in the hereafter.
No effort is wasted.
Essentially, no. They get opportunities to continue their journey. They might be reborn into pious families or even families of yogis where they can naturally pick up where they left off. They're drawn back to the practice by their past efforts, their accumulated merit, and eventually, through persistent dedication over lifetimes, they progress towards the ultimate goal. It acknowledges the long-term nature of it all. The ode touches on this. The Blessed Lord declared, "No darkening fate, O Partha, waits in this terrestrial sphere, nor in the realms beyond life's narrow gate, for one who strives with purpose, true and clear." So the answer is definitive. Nothing bad happens to such a person.
He assures Arjuna that no truly negative outcome, no darkening fate, awaits those who sincerely strive on the path of yoga, either in this life or the next, even if they don't achieve immediate perfection.
The lands of pure and virtuous he gains, and dwells there, long in bliss that knows no end. Then falls from yoga's high and sacred fanes, in homes of wealth and goodness to descend. So after enjoying a period in heavenly realms due to their good efforts,
They are reborn, but notice where they are reborn in favorable circumstances. Homes of wealth and goodness. This implies a rebirth that provides a good foundation to potentially continue the spiritual journey. It points to positive karmic outcomes.
progress isn't necessarily lost across lifetimes.
Right, that's the implication.
Or born within a yogi's hallowed line, where wisdom's lamp with steady radiance burns. Such birth, indeed, a treasure most divine for those whose persevering spirit yearns. So they might even be born into a family of yogis where wisdom is already present.
Yes, that's considered an even more fortunate rebirth. Being born into an environment where spiritual wisdom and practice are valued, wisdom's lamp with steady radiance burns, makes it much easier to pick up the thread and continue the journey. It highlights the idea of a spiritual lineage.
And what happens upon such a rebirth? There he recalls the intellect's bright flame of former lives, a memory held deep,
The past efforts return.
and strives anew to reach perfection's name, his steadfast vows with fervent zeal to keep. So the wisdom gained in previous lives isn't entirely lost.
The verse suggests that the accumulated spiritual understanding, intellect's bright flame, from past lives can resurface. There's a memory held deep. This allows the individual to strive again with renewed dedication, building on their past efforts.
It really emphasizes the continuity of the spiritual journey across lifetimes.
Absolutely, through memory and renewed effort.
By that past practice, drawn with gentle might irresistibly to wisdom's beckoning call,
Drawn back to the past.
even the seeker, guided by the light, beyond mere rituals, shallow lessons fall. So the momentum from past practice naturally pulls them back.
Yes, drawn with gentle might, almost irresistibly. That past spiritual practice creates an inherent inclination, a gravitational pull towards wisdom's call. It helps them move beyond more superficial religious practices, mere rituals, shallow lessons, towards deeper understanding.
So the effort truly compounds over time.
Mm-hmm.
But yogi striving, with a spirit clean, through countless births shall play his destined part. Perfected thus, where no dark clouds convene, he reaches highest goal with tranquil heart.
The yogi who keeps striving, purifying their spirit, with the spirit clean, potentially over many lifetimes, countless births, will eventually achieve perfection. They will reach that highest goal and attain lasting peace, a tranquil heart.
The yogi greater than the austere sage, than those whose wisdom seeks a narrow bound,
A hierarchy here.
than those whose deeds life's fleeting joys engage. Therefore, O Arjuna, be a yogi crowned. Krishna is explicitly saying the yogi is superior.
Yes, superior to mere ascetics, austere sage, to intellectual scholars whose knowledge might be limited, wisdom seeks a narrow bound, and to those focused solely on actions aimed at worldly results, deeds life's fleeting joys engage. It's an emphatic encouragement to embrace this specific path of integrated practice. And ultimately, right near the end of the chapter 647, Krishna describes the highest yogi. Who is that?
Right at the conclusion, yes. The blessed Lord declares that among all yogis, the one who worships with unwavering faith, whose inner self is completely devoted to, merged in, that person is considered the most perfectly united in yoga. The ode concludes reflecting this. And of all yogis, him I hold most dear, whose inmost soul on me doth softly lean, with faith profound, who worships without fear, most perfectly in yoga, his true mean. And of all yogis, him I hold most dear, whose inmost soul on me doth softly lean.
The role of devotion.
With faith profound, who worships without fear, most perfectly in yoga, his true mean.
It really is remarkable how thinking about chapter 6 through this poetic lens, through the idea of an ode, can maybe deepen how we appreciate its wisdom.
I think so. The poetic form seems to shine a light on the emotional core, the spiritual heart of these teachings about self-mastery, inner peace, and that timeless wrestling match with the mind.
Yeah.
And just considering that ode to the yogi still hard alongside the verses themselves, it lets you experience this ancient wisdom in a potentially fresh way, maybe more emotionally resonant, as you said. It really highlights the beauty and the depth that's already there in the Gita.
So we'd really encourage you, the listener, to maybe reflect on this. Perhaps look at the ode again or reread chapter 6 itself. Think about how the poetic form, the language, might enhance your own connection to these ideas of self-mastery. You know, what lines or verses really speak to you?
It just underscores the enduring beauty and the profound wisdom packed into the Bhagavad Gita. It reminds us these aren't just, dry philosophical points.
No, not at all.
They're also a deeply moving, poetic guide for living a more meaningful, more self-aware life. Thus fades the discourse like a dying gleam of self-control, a whisper from above. In Upanishads, a grand and sacred theme twixt Krishna's wisdom and Arjuna's love. Of Brahma Vidya, yoga's wondrous grace, a lesson etched on time's eternal face.
Principles of self-control, Atma Samyama Yoga, the knowledge of the ultimate reality, Brahma Vidya, and the path of yoga itself are timeless teachings rooted in ancient wisdom like the Upanishads and embodied in this profound exchange between Krishna and Arjuna, a lesson for all time. The whisper from above, as the ode puts it, contained within these ancient words. It really can offer continued guidance on your own path.
Om Tat Sat.